and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Marietta.
I'm Connie, and we are two crazy cousins talking about long-distance relationships today. We're in relationships. I don't really have a good one for this. I don't know. We're two crazy cousins in a relationship. In a relationship with each other and our significant others.
Well, there you go. And we're in a long-distance relationship, so...
We're doing this podcast long distance.
We are. Not that y'all didn't know that already, but just in case. But we figured it was a good topic because I'm essentially in a long-distance relationship right now. Connie's been in one before. A lot of our friends have struggled in long-distance relationships. I've seen it. A lot of people struggling with it. So we thought we'd give you some tits and tidbits. Not tits. Tips
We're going to
tidbits.
give you some tits.
Tips and tidbits. There we go. I'll get my shit straight.
Also, if you think about it, if people, because I know I have a lot of coworkers who think I'm absolutely crazy for going to Vegas, and they are all very serious about social distancing and have not seen their like family members and other people that they're in a relationship with. So it kind of is like a key thing for, you know, the world that we are living in, because now all these Zoom and Skype meetings are the regular.
Yes, they are the regular. And you know, it has been helpful to have the advantage to at least use Zoom and Skype so that you can still go see your doctor but not see your doctor. You can talk to your doctor and get things done. You know, I was worried that everything was going to be closed and we weren't going to be able to do anything. So at least it's a solution for right now.
Yeah, well, and things are opening back up, which is great. I know a lot of people have varying opinions on this, but I just live my life how I fucking want. You know?
There you go. Yeah, we all have our own opinions, and that's...
And I don't have a child. I'm okay with being risky. I don't care. I think this is the flu. Sorry, guys. Anyway, we should not talk about COVID because this is not what this is about. This is about long-distance relationships. And also on that point, I've actually had like Zoom calls with my friends like drinking, which is totally not as fun as going to a bar, let me tell you.
Yeah,
like,
it's not as fun, but it's at least...
difference.
Oh, it is a difference, but it's at least something. Like, and I've done it too. I've called my girlfriend and we've had whiskey over, what's the new thing? House party, and we've talked, and it's at least something. And I know my mom really, really enjoys FaceTime because she gets to talk to Jackson and she gets to ask him questions and see him, and she can blow him kisses.
Aw, so cute.
It is really cute. They're very cute together. My dad is not so much. He's better on the phone. Just regular phone.
Both him and Grandma, they all like to get me off the phone as soon as possible. Like, it depends for Grandma, because sometimes she could talk. Other times she's like, hey, how's it going? Going good? Okay, love you, bye.
Yeah, it does. Grandma is kind of funny like that. You either get like a 5-minute conversation or like a 30-minute.
Yes, there's no in between. It depends on the day.
But that's the perfect starter, because one of the key things when you are in a long-distance relationship is communication.
For sure. So do you and your husband, while he is away, like, do you guys do video chats, or is it mainly like just texting and phone calls?
Well, thankfully, because we both have iPhones, we can FaceTime. As long as you have Wi-Fi, you can do that. So we FaceTime whenever we can. It's hard because it is a 19-hour time difference.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's hard about this type of long-distance relationship when you're dealing with somebody who's in the military. They're not even just, it's not like he's in Florida and I'm in Chicago and it's like 3 hours. And yeah, it sucks. You're still far away. But the 19-hour time difference is quite a challenge, especially when Jackson is in camp. So he only has a set amount of time that he basically gets to talk to Kyle. So we try to make sure that he gets to like call and say, good night, Dad, I miss you, how's your day, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's sweet.
So we text regularly for sure, which has come a long way. If you think about it, when our grandpa was in the military, you had to wait for snail mail to see how people were doing. So I feel very lucky to have text and be able to connect with him pretty much instantly, minus the 19-hour time change.
Time difference, yeah.
Yeah.
Geez. Is it easy to like not so easy to coordinate those 19-hour like phone calls? No, pretty difficult.
No, yeah, it can be very difficult, especially with a kid.
Yeah, especially depending on both yours and Jackson and Kyle's schedule. You have to take into 3 schedules into, consideration, which is much.
Right. And well, it's not a plus for him. He's on quarantine right now, so he's literally not doing anything. So it makes it a lot easier now. But if he was in a normal training schedule where he had to go to work and take his Marines out training and all that, it would be a lot harder. Because like you said, we're trying to coordinate 3 schedules and find a small window where we can all sit down on the phone and talk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it is important to make those, no matter what kind of relationship you are in, that at least, what would you say, Connie? A couple times a week that you're talking. Maybe not necessarily every day, but at least I'd say 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but see, like, mine was a little bit different because mine was like the way that you talked about it earlier, because so me and my husband, I was in school down in Bloomington Normal and he was up in Lockport. So that's not even a time change. And pretty much every other weekend I would see him. So it's not as long distance because you're still seeing that person basically every other weekend.
But it's still hard.
Every weekend. Yeah, it still sucked. But see, I was also like a different mindset. I was in college. I was like, okay, this is great because I get to focus on college and college work because I am not a partier and I'm not really a drinker Monday through Friday. And like, he's not there to distract from my schoolwork. Mm-hmm. And so it works out. In my mind, it was the perfect setup because I get to see him and hang out with him every weekend. And the weekdays I got to study.
Yeah, there you go. And that was a good positive way to look at it. But we're definitely not taking away from any sort of long distance relationship because they definitely can be challenging whether you're 3 hours away or 3,000 miles away.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I mean, and of course there were also times where it's like, well, I wasn't able to see him like for 3 weekends because it was finals.
Yeah.
It's not always like, oh, this is easy, So, we talked about earlier on the phone, Rihanna, for all you guys didn't know, things that are uncomfortable. Phone sex, yes or no? She said that we weren't touching an uncomfortable subject, so I'm making it uncomfortable, Rihanna.
Well, the thing is, it's really hard to make me uncomfortable. And I feel like phone sex isn't necessarily like a thing anymore. It's like sexting. That's usually what most people do.
Well, either way, but still, you get what I mean. So
I think well, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm gonna go 6 months without. I gotta get something.
Time for a little me time.
The only part that could ever possibly be awkward, because people know kids are nosy, is like if your kid tried to grab your phone and like happened to scroll in the wrong area. But luckily your phone is locked. But that's the only thing that I would personally ever worry about, is if somebody happened to like look over my shoulder or something. But I'm usually not opening my phone for that type of thing in public or with my child around.
And I'm sure also you and Kyle have coordinated, because if you have a 19-hour time difference, you would still have to coordinate your phone sexting.
Of course.
Sexting, whatever.
I said
it wrong. It's fine. Whatever you want to call it.
I feel like that is nothing to be embarrassed about. We're married. We've been married for 9 years. Even if we weren't married, if we've been in a committed relationship, come on, everybody needs to get a little something, something. And like, yeah, sexting isn't ideal, but it's something, and you got to keep it spicy even when you're together.
Spicy. Yeah,
I'm trying to use different words.
Though, and it's not even just like long distance relationships. It's like my friends who are like, okay, my girlfriend, she has like nieces and nephews. They try to go see them on like the weekends, but like their parameters are that they're not like, she tries to limit who she goes and sees. But she's been talking to a guy for months. So what do? And also was not expecting that conversation. Like, we were just driving in the car going to Starbucks, and she's telling me about that she's sexting. I was like, oh, this is the conversation we're having right now. Cool.
I
I
love
thought
it.
it was hilarious because it was totally out of the blue. It was like, hey, come over for breakfast. Okay, let's go get coffee. So I've been sexting a guy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow, that's the new thing apparently. You meet a
Yeah,
guy and then you start sexting, and if the sexting is good, then you find out if the real sex is good.
exactly. I mean, sexting is a little bit less emotionally attaching
That's true.
than physical.
Oh yeah, I mean, nothing is ever gonna compare to the physical, but
Well,
you
yeah.
gotta make do. You gotta do what works. I
Well,
mean, what else are we gonna do? We used to on his first deployment, I used to write him like sexy emails where I would almost like tell him a story, like a descriptive story. And it was kind of fun because it was a way for me to be like creative and write, but like a way to be sexy at the same time. It was fun.
yeah, and I actually, you know what? And it's not even that like college has been. Uh, I did get something that like you absolutely hate, which is like dick pics from Tom all the time. But we didn't necessarily have like a ton of like sexting, but I think that's because of the fact that I'm seeing you every weekend. It's fine. You'll just fit in the week long into the weekend and it's okay.
There you go. Just fit it all into one thing. And I'm not saying that I haven't gotten any from my husband. I mean, this is our fourth deployment, so there's gonna be some dick pics popping in there. Sorry, people, but again, we're married. We're in the age of technology. Like, what else are we gonna do?
Your beef with it though was an unwarranted one. It's your
Yes.
husband, so it's warranted.
Right, an unwarranted one. Like, if I don't even know you, definitely do not send me your penis. That's just too personal.
And they all look weird. Sorry, anyway.
God, how did we end up back on this again?
Yeah, this is like the second time. I'm blaming your deployment. I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I can blame myself for this one because I brought it up because it is a part of a long distance relationship. And I've had a few before. Like I had like one or two before Tom.
Yeah.
Because
I did too.
I thought it was cool. I don't know.
Well, and I also want to say that we're obviously not just sexting and sending sexy pictures. Like, you send normal pictures too, like selfies and pictures of my son and pictures of what the dog is doing.
Oh,
just
of
things
course.
to make them feel like they're involved.
And because we're on the opposite schedule, me and Tom, I work from 8 to forever, but no, I'm just kidding. I work from 8 to 5 and he works 2 to 10. If like Flynn does something like super adorable, I'm like taking a photo, sending it to Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
And I do the
cute.
same. I do the same thing with Kyle, even though he's far away. Like, look at the dog and cat. They're adorable. They're laying exactly the same. Or, like, was it last night? I think it was last night. I took a bath and the cat was very, very curious, like standing on my leg, trying to stick his paw in. And I'm like, look, honey,
That's hilarious.
the cat is trying to decide if he likes water or not. And he's like, that's not gonna go so well for him.
So did he decide? Did he like water? Yes or no?
He was very curious. He stuck his paw in like more than halfway up his little arm, but
Uh-huh.
he didn't get in any farther. But he's definitely very curious, and it was really funny because he's like standing on my leg like it's a bridge and sticking his paw in. I think he was trying to figure out how deep it is, because water's clear and he can see the bottom, so I don't think he quite understands,
How big?
Yeah.
You should try giving him a bath.
I don't think so. I don't feel like getting clawed to death.
Good point. Good point.
I'll let him explore it on his own, and that'll just be his thing.
This is totally off topic, but we find it hilarious that Flynn likes a bath outside, does not like a bath indoors. Like, we even brought out like soap and stuff. Like, at first we were just playing with him in the water, and then we're like, well, let's just bring out his puppy soap and shampoo him up. And he like enjoyed the fuck out of it. But bring him into a tub inside. No.
Are you using warm water inside?
I've done both, warm and cold. It
I was
doesn't.
gonna say maybe he likes the cold water, or I don't know. That was just my only thought.
I've tried it. We've tried it multiple ways. Like, even just having the because he likes the pressure of the hose outside.
Uh-huh.
So we tried just turning on the shower head. He's still not a fan.
Maybe it's
Which
just
is
like
basically the shower hose. I mean,
maybe it's the confinement of the tub.
I don't know. Maybe he likes the grass beneath his paws. I have no
Maybe.
idea. Besides, it's way too off topic anyway.
Yeah, anyway, now that we're done talking about puppies and kitties, we're back onto our long distance relationship thing. And my other main thing that I wanted to point out, because I feel like both myself and Kyle have both done this, when somebody asks you how you're doing, I feel like we just automatically say like, I'm good, I'm fine, because you don't want to put pressure on the other person because they're not there to actually help you. So I just wanted to say that it's okay to say when you're not fine. Like, don't worry about stressing out your person. That's why they're there for you. Don't feel the pressure to say like, no, I'm fine when you're really not fine, and be honest with them.
Of course. I mean, and honestly, that's at any time.
Mm-hmm.
You should always tell them if you're having a woman's fine or if you're actually fine.
I just feel like at least myself anyway, when he's gone, I feel more pressure to just say I'm fine and not actually say what's going on because I don't want to stress him out, especially when he's deployed. Like if he's doing something major, I don't want to be like, oh, the dog ran away and he's dealing with some craziness with his troops. Like it just feels not necessary, but you have to.
Well, and it's also being honest with like yourself and your partner so that they know what's going on.
Yes,
in general.
Yeah, so it's okay
and they have possibly like tips to help. Well, why don't you call your mom? Ask her for some help. You know, I know that you're in your position because you're in Hawaii. Your mom wouldn't really be able to like help you at the moment, but maybe she would have some like better tips than Kyle would. I don't know. I don't know what situation it is, but maybe he would have like an idea of how to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Even if he's not there.
That was like last night. This is the stupidest thing. I was in bed getting ready to go to sleep, and my Alexa downstairs like just randomly started talking. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, oh my god, there's somebody in the house. But the dog didn't move. So I was like, okay, well, Mac would have gotten up if somebody came in. So I'm like texting Kyle, and I'm like, the Alexa's talking. I think somebody's in the house. And he's like, what? Are you safe? What's happening? So then he starts freaking out, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But Mac didn't move, and he's like, oh, well, okay, you're fine. But like he had that moment where I didn't like explain myself, where he was like, what? There's somebody in the house? What are you talking about?
Oh my god. And I think that would give Tom a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do you know where the gun is? Because he had, when there were the riots going on, he was like, okay, I've left these 3 different guns in 3 different areas for you to go and pick up if people try to like riot through our house or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, got it. Like, just because like I don't think they're wasting their time in a small neighborhood in Romeoville.
Oh, and like, now we know all where you live. Everybody go stalk Connie.
Sounds great. Versus like, it was a lot in Chicago and out in the suburbs, but it was mainly by like shopping districts. I didn't hear of a ton of like house looting going on.
Right. Yeah. There wasn't really. Yeah. It was all businesses. It wasn't really homes. Yeah. Like you're saying.
Yeah. Because how do you know? Like you could be ransacking a nice person's house, but either way, yeah. Like Tom in that situation would be freaking out.
Exactly. And that's, I'm one that will hike alone because I've been an outdoor person my entire life, and it's never even fazed me or thought about it. Like I always tell people where I'm going, 2 or 3 people know where I'm going, but with Kyle deployed right now, it's something that I try to avoid because I don't want him to worry. That kind of like avoid dangerous situations type thinking.
Well, and also, like, okay.
Sorry, that was kind of a quick change of topic, but I just thought about it.
Fine. But if you are out hiking alone, and Kyle's 3,000-4,000 miles away, mm-hmm. and even if you're comfortable, if you like roll your ankle and can't get back up or something, or it hurts too much, mm-hmm. like then what happens with like Jackson? Like you're the only person here, like who's like, I know people know where you are and stuff, but you're also then you have to also think about you're the only parent at home for mm-hmm. Jackson at the moment as well. Plus, so like your safety is even more important.
Yeah, and like you said, and if something major did happen where I got seriously injured and I had to go to the hospital, and then it's going to take them a while to get a message to Kyle, and then he's wondering why I'm not answering, and it's going to become way bigger than it needs to be. So I kind of avoid dangerous quote unquote situations right now while he's gone, even more so, just so I'm not giving him an extra reason to worry.
Yeah, so what, you're just going out with, like, friends? If it is a more risky one, you're going out with friends, and if it's, like, an easy trail, you just go at it by yourself?
Yeah, like, I did a trail last week, Monday, that was really straightforward. I did still slip and fall, but that's just because it was rainy and it was muddy, and I don't care who you are, you're gonna slip and fall on mud. Like, it's slippery. That's just life.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna break an ankle doing that. It's just slipping and falling, and just one of those funny moments that if somebody was recording it would end up on America's Funniest Home Videos. But I'm probably not even going to do that. I'm probably just going to make sure that I'm always going with somebody right now, just because I just don't want him to worry. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know he would probably tell me to do my own thing, and he would never want to restrict me, but it's just more of a common courtesy thing.
Yeah. And it's a common courtesy for both him and kind of for, like, Jackson as well.
Yes, yeah, Jackson as well, absolutely.
Because even if he is doing, like, other things, eventually he has to, like, come home, and he's definitely expecting his mom to be there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we rotate picking up the kids from camp, and it's just being responsible, basically.
Yeah. As you have to be.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the other thing that I do that maybe not everybody in long distance relationships do, I'm sure a lot of militaries do, is I do still send him mail. Like, I'll occasionally send him a letter just because I think it's kind of fun and old fashioned.
It is.
And I will also mail him, care packages, whatever you want to call them, with candy and treats and
I still think it's absolutely hilarious. Like, I had no idea. My mom sends Kyle care packages. I was like, that's so nice. And now this week at work, we had our monthly meeting, and they were all like, send us baked goods, Connie. And I was like, well, send me your address, and maybe I will.
I would love to send Kyle baked goods because he loves chocolate chip cookies. But by the time they get there, they would be yucky.
Gross. And that's what I was trying to tell my coworkers, because they wanted me to send them cheesecakes. And I was like, I was like, there is no way a cheesecake would make it through the postal system. Cheesecake is soft. It's not like chocolate chip cookies where if you package them correctly, it'll make it.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all.
I wonder if you could do something I used to do with Kyle is you can make cake in a jar, like a mason jar. Like, you'd bake the cake inside the jar, and then you'd put the lid on, and the steam would, seal it so it would stay safe. I wonder if you could almost do, if there's a way to do that with cheesecake so that you could ship it and it would be in, like, a jar and it would be safer.
No, they'll just have to get over it, because we have we have, like, quarterly meetings, and they're just not doing them right now.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And it's COVID, because everybody lives, like, they live all about, like, an hour away from me. It's not like we're all, like, super far long distance and I never see my coworkers ever. It's COVID right now, and my coworkers are very liberal.
Well, and that wouldn't even be worth you mailing it. Like, it wouldn't, that's not even, like, worth the price of you mailing it if they're only an hour away.
Well, one person is up in, like, Michigan or Wisconsin. I don't remember which.
But still, because you'd have to buy dry ice and all that to ship it, and it just wouldn't even be worth, like, your time and the money and the effort.
I know, which is why I said no. But I did say that if they sent me their addresses, I would send them chocolate chip cookies. Because chocolate chip cookies are, like, nothing to ship an hour away.
Yeah. Yeah, your mom is really cute. I actually just talked to her yesterday because she was asking me, she always has follow-up questions. She's so cute.
Of course.
She's like, well, should I send him instant coffee or regular coffee? And what kind of coffee does he like? And I'm like, he literally will not care. Just send him any type of coffee. She's like, well, at least instant or regular. I'm like, regular. He's not, like, out in the field right now. You don't need to send him instant. So she's cute. Yeah, she's sent him one every single time he's deployed.
I know, she's so sweet. And I'm like, I didn't even know it. I was like, Mom, you're so sweet. Because, like, yes, she, like, obviously Kyle is related to Mom through you, you know, through
Mhm.
marriage or whatever. But like, I just thought that she kind of forgot about all that stuff after her son got out. You know what I mean?
Nope.
And I was very impressed. I was like, mother. But she always tries to do that type of thing for everybody.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really surprise me that much, but I was like a little surprised. Or like brought anything up, because I remember when Luke was in deployment, she would ask me like to contribute stuff, like, oh, well, what do you want to send to your brother and stuff like that. And maybe because it was Luke, she wanted input. I don't
Maybe.
know.
I used to
But
send
she
care
never brought
packages.
it up again.
I used to send care packages to Luke too. So maybe that's why she does to Kyle, because I send them to
Maybe.
Luke. I don't know.
It is still nice.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter either way.
it is nice. And, you know, that deployment was even more important to send them stuff like the one that Luke was on, because they were in Afghanistan. So then
Oh,
you had
yeah.
to send, I would send stuff like playing cards and footballs and Play-Doh, like stupid things for them to play with and keep them
Yeah.
occupied, because they literally have nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I remember us like sending him like Nerf guns and stuff like that.
Yep. They have fun with that kind of stuff. It was funny because somebody was giving me a hard time about sending them Play-Doh, because I sent them like this huge container of Play-Doh. They loved it. Like the guys loved it. They were like, "This is the greatest thing ever." I was like, "Please send me pictures of you guys in uniform playing with Play-Doh, please."
Please. I just want that. That's great.
Like
I
that'll
wanted the same thing.
like that'll go viral on social media. Like
100%.
No problem. I don't think they ever ended up sending me them, because you know how you can't count on guys to do
anything or to take a photo. Yes, I know. I'm
Yeah.
aware. Tom loves to just find the weirdest and take the weirdest photos of me, so I
noticed he puts them on Instagram a lot.
Shut up. I know. And then he likes to do like grumpy faces when we're taking photos. I'm like, can you just smile nicely? Thanks.
Yeah, can you just go along with this? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else Kyle and I do. Sometimes we will eat together, like not necessarily the same meal. Like we'll be having dinner and he's having breakfast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast. But that's kind of fun, and Jackson usually gets a kick out of that, because he's like, "Dad, what are you eating?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, my
And
food
it
sucks."
I love it. Food sucks. Wish I was home.
Yeah, I wish I had, but you had. Can you? And he'll be funny. Can you stuff it through the computer or through the phone to me, so I can take a bite? You know, something funny.
I love
like that.
it. Adorable. Have you guys tried that like watching app on, I think it's like Google Chrome, where you guys can both start up your Netflix and like watch something together, and like it has like a chat and stuff?
It was funny. We were just talking about that, because we both have been wanting to watch Peaky Blinders.
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
you've watched that yet.
I have tried and failed.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been recommended to us by so many people, and he's at the point right now where he's like, I don't know what to watch anymore. And I'm like, well, we were told to watch Peaky Blinders. Why don't we try that, what you were just talking about, where we can watch it together? So I think at some point this week or
You're
next
gonna
week,
try it.
we're gonna try it if we can make the time frame work.
Yeah, I was trying to get my one girlfriend to do that with me, and we were going to, and then she was like, okay, my computer, it's not working. Let's just do a call. And I'm like, okay, fine. It was like right when like COVID started, and then she like gave up and didn't care and came over to our house for breakfast.
Well, there you go. You know, it's
Yeah.
all like it's basically what we're saying is you're doing your best to be there without being there.
Exactly.
You're trying to experience things together, even though you're not together, but you're making it seem like
You're making it
together.
work.
Yeah, you're making it work. And I make sure, at least myself, a lot. I tell him I miss him a lot, and I tell him I love him a lot, because I figure you can never do that too much.
Oh, for sure. I like the letters idea. I think that's super like cool and classy and like old school.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds fun.
I love writing letters, but you know me, I'm a writer, so I think it's fun, and it just reminds me of like being in the Notebook, like.
Oh, yeah. And these are all the letters that she has sent me over the deployments. Let me read them back to you.
Yeah.
I know. I remember when I was younger, I like tried really hard to get into like that and like a diary, and I just couldn't. I was like,
Yeah, this isn't working.
it was not like I would write in it if I was pissed off, but like I would forget to write like every day, like you're supposed to for a diary.
My mom actually does that, which is kind of cool, especially she does it a lot when like she comes to visit. She writes like what the weather is and what she did with Jackson. So my mom is really good about doing that.
I feel like that's great though for her because then you can read it, Jackson can read it.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I just thought it would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like I even remember buying like an expensive one from like Barnes and Noble, and it just never ended up working out.
Yeah, I just bought my mom a really pretty one from North Beach. A really pretty, like it was covered in like turtles and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, this is so pretty." And I'm like, "Now you can put all your Hawaii memories in your Hawaii notebook." I love having all the letters because I still read my letters from Kyle. And actually, the tattoo on my wrist is in his handwriting, and it's from a letter that he wrote to me on his first appointment. So, I mean, I wouldn't have that if we never wrote letters to each other.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Smushy romance movie type crap.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so funny because like Tom is very much not into like letters or reading.
Yeah. I feel like that's a guy thing. Like they're not necessarily into writing. Kyle's pretty good about writing for the most part.
He has the absolute perfect handwriting. He just doesn't like reading.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was actually super funny. I did not know that Tom saved from like when we first got together a few like cards I bought and like wrote in them like, "Oh, how much I love you, blah blah blah." Bleh. I'm just kidding. I do love him. It's fine. I'm just making like I'm thinking about it and I'm imagining the cards with my shitty handwriting on it and I'm like, huh, yuck. Anyway,
so funny.
Yes, I am. Anyway, like I didn't even know he kept like the first like 3 or 4 cards I gave him in our relationship, but I stopped giving them to him and he was like, "Well, why'd you stop giving them?" I'm like, "Because you barely read them." And he's like, "Well, I kept 3 of them." I'm like, "Yeah, that's nice." And you didn't like read any of them. Like you might have read like those first 3 because you were humoring me, but like you didn't read any of the other ones. So I stopped.
Yeah.
And he told me to stop spending money on cards. I was like, "Okay."
Oh, I love cards, and you know Grandma loves cards, so like I'll send her cards just willy-nilly, like I'll just send her a random one. Then she calls me and goes, "Thank you for the card." I'm like, "You don't have to thank me for that. Was not the purpose. I just wanted to send you a card."
You know what I also saw over, I think it was probably about the time I was planning our honeymoon, was people send themselves like postcards about like all of their activities that they've done. And like I really wish I would have remembered to do that when we were on our honeymoon, but I was just so caught up in it and I was not thinking of like, and this is how this postcard back to me. And also I hate my handwriting. So
have Tom write it for you. Say, "Okay, honey, I'm going to dictate and you're going to write whether you like it or not."
His handwriting, beautiful. Perfect. If it is not perfect, he erases and rewrites. He has the nice, like, okay, he wrote a couple of our thank you notes.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody thought it was my hand. Or no, I wrote the thank you notes. People didn't like them. Because, like, not didn't like them, but they were like, "Oh, I thought Tom wrote it." I was like, no. Have you seen his handwriting? His handwriting is perfect. Mine is horrible.
That's really nice handwriting, too. Obviously, if I've got it tattooed on my wrist, he has really nice handwriting, too.
And also, I remember, like, my mom ridiculing people for, like, not handwriting thank you notes and just sending out, like, a photo of us, and it says thank you on it. Like, she ridiculed people who did that. Sorry. Because our family, huge into thank you notes. We've already talked about this. Moving on.
We should have like an entire podcast just dedicated to that entire subject because we literally could talk about it forever because our family is insane when it comes to thank you notes. But yeah, anyway.
You know
what? The main thing was...
Next week, thank you notes. We're doing it.
The main thing we were trying to get across is like basically don't solely rely on technology when you're in a long distance relationship. Send the cards, send the letters, send the postcards.
Something like to hold, to read, to remember. You know what I mean? Versus like a text. You send a text, it's like, you know, you reply back and you forget that like you were even sent it. And it happens where like my phone forgets to like not remind me but like notify me that I've gotten a text message. Mm-hmm. And I think I like look at it and I think I reply and then I like don't and it just kind of sits.
I think everybody does that.
There's all of that kind of madness going on as well. So it's like versus a card or a letter, you know what you've gotten, obviously, because you have a physical. It's not just some piece of technology that like didn't remind you.
Yeah, plus like you said, you have it forever, and maybe when Jackson's getting married, he'll find a sweet letter from Kyle and he'll be like, "Oh, this is amazing. Like I can do this for my new wife." It's kind of like a permanent piece of your history.
Of course. Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
I wish we had like more letters in like keepsake letters that like grandma kept, but like she didn't really keep those kinds of things.
No.
She kept like pictures and that's like about it. But she's also, just so you know, guys know, she's not into like a lot of junk just like laying around. I was helping an aunt pack up her house. She actually had like some of those like report cards, stuff like that. I was like, cool.
I still have letters from Aunt Barbara because her and I were pen pals for a long time. So I have
that's so sweet.
I have a lot of letters from Aunt Barbara, and I have some from my other grandma that.
Oh man, and that's the kind of thing like after they've passed away. That's the kind of thing like that you wish you had.
Yeah.
Because like I think I was just too young to have like a pen pal with Aunt Barbara. Like I don't even have a ton of memories of Aunt Barbara.
I was 15 when she passed, so that would make you only like, 7 or 8. So.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I was like 7 or 8 when she passed, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was one of my absolute favorite people, and Uncle Bill and Barbara both adored me because they didn't have a girl, and I was the only girl for the longest time.
Tell me.
I was like their surrogate girl, so I think that's why we were pen pals. We were very close.
Aw, that's so sweet.
She was the best. She had the wittiest personality, like real zingers.
Like everybody in this family, we all got.
No. Hers, I mean, like you and I do, but like a lot of the other aunts, they're kind of like mean zingers. Hers were like really witty, funny ones.
A woman after my own heart.
Oh yeah, she was the best. So yeah, so I always have those letters, and when you think about like our grandma and grandpa's, the great loves, the people that have been married 60 years, they have all this stuff to remember each other by. They have notebooks and pictures, and so it's just kind of nice that we can write letters, even though we are long distance, which sucks. But I will always have, unless I lose them, I will always have the letters he wrote me.
Yeah. Versus now everything else is like pretty digitized. Yeah. And there aren't as many ways for like you to lose it, but it is possible because like if you don't like save photos on your phone, it is easy to lose them.
When you used to be, I don't know if you can anymore on the iPhone, because you know how you can clear it out every once in a while, like if you wanted to, but you used to be able to like lock certain messages, so you could lock certain messages, and then if you deleted it, it would keep the ones that you've locked. So like I used to do that, and then there would just be this huge section of like all these really sweet messages, but I don't think you can even do that anymore.
I've never wanted to try. Because actually what Tom does is he'll go into my phone. If he wants to leave me a sweet message, he'll go into my notes and he'll write me a note.
Oh, that's sweet. I like that. That's cute.
We're adorable. He also left me a note on my laptop one of these days. I don't remember which day, but it was a day. Last week.
I love Post-its. Those are fun.
Yes, he hid it in my work laptop so that when I opened it on Monday, I would see.
Tom, you're so sweet.
I know. Gag. Just kidding. He is. He's adorable. Sometimes. Yeah, you'd say the same about Kyle. He's adorable. No. Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. No, I would.
Yeah, exactly. It's never 24/7.
So
Nobody is adorable for that long.
No, not even us, even though we think we are.
Yeah, we're just chit-chatting. We're chit-chatters. Chit-chat to you about long-distance relationships.
Which hopefully you guys got the main topics. I mean, we're not done yet, but the main thing was just keep your communication open, be honest, open, keep it spicy. Honestly,
so do you think that, the saying, distance makes the heart grow fonder, have you found that true or false?
I have found it true. I feel like it is anyway, and we have definitely grown over the years. I mean, we probably would have grown anyway, because that's just, you learn and grow and you get stronger. But it definitely makes me appreciate him more when he is here, and I feel like I don't. I mean, I'm sure I have my moments where I take him for granted, because everybody does, but I definitely feel like there are less times when I would take him for granted, because I know what it's like when he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
So when he is here,
it's even better.
It's even better, yeah. It is hard, though, the transitioning part. Like, when he first leaves, the transition is hard, and when he first comes back, the transition is hard. Because, you know, you get into this routine without him.
Being alone, yeah.
Yeah, so trying to, like, reincorporate him in, which I know a lot of military spouses struggle with. I feel like we don't have as hard a time, because we've known each other for so long. I mean, there is still a transition period just because he's been gone and he's coming back and he's trying to jump into the routine. But I know a lot of other military spouses, that's been one of their biggest things. Like, they're so happy that they're back, but at the same time, it's really stressful because you're trying to figure out, like, how
do they fit in again?
Yeah, exactly. How to, like, rework the routine. Like, oh, I usually take him to and from school, but maybe now that you're back, you can take him, and you're trying to figure it out. And it just, yeah, it's not always like a happy ending the moment they get back.
I mean, it is for like a day or two, and then it's like reality sets in, you know? Is what I assume it's like, considering I am not a military wife.
Yeah, you have that homecoming and things are sweet, and then you come home and you have your sexy night and you get to curl up together and you finally get some good sleep because you've not been sleeping well because you've been sleeping alone. I know there's other people out there that relate. I freaking hate sleeping alone, which is kind of funny because in college, I never wanted to share my bed. Like, when Kyle and I first started dating, he always wanted to stay over, and I'm like, no, I can't sleep with you in my bed. And then now when he's gone, I'm like, please come back.
I was actually just going to ask you if that was like a thing, because it is for me on occasion. It's definitely harder for me to fall asleep, for sure.
Yes.
It's not that like, oh, I'm just never going to be able to sleep, because that would be impossible, because Tom works 2 to 10 and I'm here trying to go to bed at like 8 or 9, depending on like my work schedule. So like it would be pretty impossible for me to like stay up until 11 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is for sure harder for me to like fall asleep.
Yeah. And I feel like in that situation too, like if I knew he was coming home, I could fall asleep still for the most part, because like I know eventually he's gonna be next to me. But, the first month is like the worst, because you're just like, every little noise, you're like, what's that? No one's here. Like,
so it's
freaking out.
Like being home without the parents.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I just remember like one time being home alone at my mom's house and being like, what's that? What's that? Because it was very rare when it was like only me home alone with like no brothers. Like that like rarely happened. So it's just like what's that? Who's going? What's going on?
Yeah, it's essentially like that. And then, you know, you're more comfortable. You know, it's just something you're used to. You're more comfortable. You cuddle up together. Like, you just feel safer. And it's just, you know, you're just used to it.
There's no cuddling in my bed.
Well, we do for a little while. We're the same way, and then we both get hot and we move away. But it's still the fact that, like, you're just used to their presence, and now the bed's, like, huge and empty. And
yeah. Well, and it's still, actually, I also find that it's, like, almost like the weight.
Yes. Yeah, that's
like, because you
just
can
knowing
on the bed, like, his weight. And it's actually also, like, the same, it's not the same thing, but I find myself, like, waking up if like Flynn isn't on the bed with us, and be like, where is he? He needs to be on the bed with us. And it's the same thing with like Tom. It's like, wait, I'm up. Wait, why did I wake up? Wait, where is he? He's supposed to be here.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Sometimes it is just the weight. Like, you're just used to knowing that somebody is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the only other point that I would personally make is just to try to stay positive, because it's so hard to get dragged in, like, especially if stuff starts happening, you know, if the car breaks down or whatever and negative things start happening, it's hard to be like, this deployment sucks. I just want it to be over. I wish he was here. Like, it's really hard. You know, it's really easy to get like sucked into
your
that.
Air tires, huh? Your one difficult day of the air tires.
Which was so stupid. But, you know, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I just want him to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But you just have to, like I said, when that happened, you just got to put on your big girl panties and be like, life could be a lot worse. Things are good. He'll be back in X amount of months, and then it's all good.
So, Rietta, next question. Just kidding.
Uh-oh.
I'm
Dun,
not the
dun.
yeah, I'm not the Inquisitor. So, like, out of your friends in like the military community, like, do like, because it seems to me that deployments either like make or break you. And have you seen like the both parts of that, the making and the breaking?
Oh, yeah. Especially, and I'm not saying if you get married young that it's not going to work, but there are a lot of young marriages, like people straight out of high school in the military. And I'm not hating on anybody that got married young, so don't take this the wrong way, but I think it does make a difference, at least in certain aspects. So when you have this really young married couple and then you've only been married for 2 months and you send him away for 6 months, that's kind of a make or break situation. And there's also just a lot of crazy Jerry Springer stuff that happens. People are cheating. People are not communicating. Like, I see the biggest problem with communication. These people don't seem to communicate with each other. And if you don't communicate with each other, then you create animosity and people are getting mad. And then they're like, well, fuck this. And then they start cheating and it just becomes crazy. Now, granted, it's not all like that by any stretch. And the majority of the people I know are very strong people to be able to handle deployments. But of course, just like anything, there are those situations where it just gets really
Doesn't
bad.
work out.
Yeah, it just gets really bad.
Well, I mean, but also, you need to have communication out throughout your whole relationship, not just when you're on deployment. It's more important when somebody is away from you for long periods of time. But, it's important when they're there too.
Oh, yeah, and that's what's happening. It's pretty much not happening when they're here either. They don't know what unit their husband works for. They don't know, what they're doing, where they're going. And I'm like, how do you not know any of this? And they're like, oh, my husband just doesn't tell me. And I'm like, what? Wait, what do you mean he just doesn't tell you?
Yeah, that's something that you need to know.
Yeah.
Because as a military wife, you're on the planning end, you have to plan all of your moves and everything. And then imagine like if you had a job, like you have to like there's a lot of coordination is what I'm saying on the wife's part.
Yeah, and planning being used very loosely because we can't really plan for anything.
Well, you know what I mean.
But yeah,
it's crazy though thinking that you just have no idea. Like imagine you just not knowing.
Right, and
would
it's
be insane.
Yeah, and a lot of these people
because
don't
you have to do at least a little bit of planning, like a little.
Yeah, and
you
even
have to be flexible.
And even in like regular long distance relationships or even regular relationships, you see it. They'll be like, I don't know what they're doing, and I'm like, not saying you have to like know what they're doing every second of the day, but you should probably know like the gist of what they're doing.
Yes, would be important.
So just like we've talked about in our relationship podcast and like we've talked about before, like communication is the key to a lot of things. And I've seen it be the death of a lot of things when it's not there.
Oh, 100%. I can think of some marriages right now. Just off the top of my head.
Yep.
And that whole married young thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not hating on anybody that got married young, but just because I see it a lot more in the military, because it tends to happen where they were high school sweethearts, they enlist for the military right after high school, they decide to get married, and a lot of the times it doesn't work out because they're not on the same level and they're not communicating and it's just not going well. But not every single one is like that.
So, Rietta, I'm thinking of a person who was also in the military and he got married young. Is that what you think happened to him?
I don't know. That was a hot mess express on every level.
So, but pretty much everything.
That was definitely
the reason for that one.
That was definitely a huge lack of communication, for sure. Also.
And I think it's also like ideals not like lining up like what she wanted versus what he wanted.
Right.
Which is communication.
I was going to say, which again goes back to communication, and they had only met twice in person before they got married, so.
Which we all knew. We all knew it was coming. We were like, no.
I mean, I'm a big hopeless romantic. So I mean, I believe that love can happen quickly, but that doesn't mean you have to get married right away. Like, you can love each other, but maybe wait before you sign on the dotted line.
Yes. 100%.
And with that, Connie's going to summarize because she's been asking me all the questions.
Anytime. I just like putting you on the hot spot. I was like, this is Rietta's jam. We're going to just, hot spot her the whole time. Did you think I was going to bring up sexting?
No, I didn't, but I'm glad you did because it's very important. We give 2 thumbs up to sexting.
Good. Thumbs up. Just kidding.
I'm doing the Roger and Ebert. Well, it's not Roger and Ebert anymore because he passed away, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we got it. Anyway, long distance relationships, communication and being there is very important. There's a lot of different ways. Technology is great, but old-fashioned letters are pretty fabulous, and it makes me wish I was further away from Tom when we were in college, so I could have written him some old letters that he probably wouldn't have read.
In your terrible handwriting.
Yes, in my terrible handwriting. I started doing calligraphy because my handwriting is just horrible, but that takes forever as well. So it would take me an hour to write, a letter in calligraphy. And he wouldn't have been able to read it because he's like, I don't read that cursive shit.
It would have been cool, though.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I could have done it on that brown, old-timey looking paper.
Yeah.
Anyway, next time. So, yeah, I think that's about it. Your relationship can be stronger after deployment. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. And with that, we will make your heart grow fonder by leaving this podcast.
We bid you adieu.
We bid you adieu. We will send you a handwritten written letter.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Rietta.
I'm Connie.
And thank you for listening.